Welcome to the last of the Lunch and Learn series for 2024. Today, we will be jumping into two hot topics, reporting and projects, which obviously are a big part of the software, especially the reporting, and the main reason why anyone ultimately looks for an ERP. Now you've got most of your setup done, you will be ready to start collecting some data and making some continual level of improvements, which is a big one. Today, we're also going to jump into a new feature, which is really big, forms. I was going to separate this out into the What's New series, but we've had so much interest come back from a lot of clients around this area of the software. I thought, we can't wait. Let's just jump in and show everybody how you can use this great new functionality in the software and get a better return for your investment. So today, the agenda is very straightforward. We're going to be diving in and have a looking at the reports, functionality, filters, how to build custom reports so that you've got easily savable filters to come back to at all times. And also some of the more common use cases of reporting in Jobman. Sometimes people see the main branch of our reports and wonder if they can extract the data they're looking for. And the answer is usually yes. It's just a matter of working those filters. A couple of great parts about our reporting is that it is live information. So they're very quick and easy to put together. We're also going to take a very quick look at one of the newer modules in Jobman, which is projects, some of their use cases and some easy ways you can build those and put those into the software to use for your company, and I'll explain a little bit around the differentiation between the idea of a lead, job, and project. Jobman primarily is a job management platform and is an end-to-end ERP, which means we really look at everything from the CRM through the lead into the job, managing that job, full life cycle of the job and its manufacturing process, and then the reporting at the end. And then projects just gives us a last layer to be able to utilize the software in even more diverse ways. And the last one, which I'm very excited about, is, of course, forms. This is a big feature. A lot of companies quite often utilize a third-party system or a siloed program for their forms. Jotform's is a very popular one. There's quite a few on the market, and they're all very good. However, there's a lot of information inside Jobman that people really want to be able to share with their team, and more importantly, quite often have their team interact with. And there's some great use case examples here, which we're going to bring up today. And I'm even left enough time to make sure that we can jump in and show you how to build a couple. They're very easy to put together. And once you start using them, you'll never want to live without them again. I promise you. Such a fantastic feature. One of the best benefits, of course, is that they now add a new layer of bonus benefit to the kiosk mode, where you can now have your team members on the ground or out on site filling out these forms live for you for very important reasons. And there's some big ones. HR is a huge one. I know for a lot of companies, they need the ability to tackle WorkSafe site regulations based on the state or country you're in. There's a need to have information that's live, checked off, documented. Also, I guess from an installation point of view or a dispatch point of view, having some accountability for the team around things that have been done or processes that have been finished, including, of course, taking photos and our new ability in the software, which has come in with forms, which is the ability to upload and tackle files, which is really good. That just gives us another layer of upload that people can put into the software. So you've got that data there ready to go at all times with this historic record. Now, I'm actually a little bit different today. I'm not going to run through a PPS like I usually do. I wanted to dive straight into the software because there's some really great things here. And I think in most cases, it's easier just to show people live what the impact of those modules and features look like. So we're going to dive right in. And here we are back in our Lunch and Learn. So I'm actually going to start today with projects. Projects is an area of the software, as I said, that is quite new to the Jobman module platform. And it's an exceptionally good area for a number of reasons. The two primary use cases for projects is internal. So things that aren't quite a lead or a job. For example, managing or creating a marketing plan for your team. It's not really a lead because you're the client, and it's not really a job, although it does have tasks and operations that are important to be done and milestones to be met. So projects is a great area to build a workflow and manage some live tasks and make sure those tasks are put out to the correct team members. And then, as always, we can get some accountability with the software because team members can log into those operations, measure that time, and we can get some reporting at the end to start understanding around what those time operations look like, which are good. Anything that you want internally tracked for an efforts report, though, will need to be a job. But for projects, we can at least start creating some milestones, important things that need to be checked off along the way. For example, have we sent out or have we put out to tender the marketing material that we want to get created? Yep, ticked off, fantastic. Do we then need to, the next checkpoint is, of course, set up the social media campaign. Has that been done? Yep, tick off. So that's just some base example use cases for internal projects. One of the most common projects I've seen used in the software is, in fact, the implementation of this ERP in your business. It's quite a process, you know what I mean? We've had 12 fortnights together already, helping you get the most out of your software, and certainly dive in more. And there can be stages in which you want to make sure that the software has been implemented with your team. So using projects to manage that can be very important. Make sure milestones are met, make sure everybody's on the same page, and most importantly, make sure you're getting the most out of the software. So that's the first major use case for projects, which is internal, things that aren't really jobs or leads. The second use case, which is probably where a lot of companies have been looking for this feature in a platform like Jobman, is the ability to take multiple jobs with their connected work orders and leads and put them into one area. The advantage of which is, of course, you now have a stable area with which you can sort of oversee everything that's going on in that project. And again, you can create another level, a higher level of milestone management in the software. So if you think about everything we've built to date, it's been, contact management into the lead, create the quote, push that into a job, then manage the job. If it's a large job, break that job down into work orders so they can be managed individually and really get the best out of the software. Sometimes, though, you'll have a job which is just a little bit bigger than usual, or for some companies, it's their standard is managing multiple jobs at once, but it falls under one project. A great example might be, for example, the recent fit out at the hospital in Murdoch. There was a couple of major joinery companies that got involved in that project, and each of them was sort of designated areas. Now, each of those areas would be a job. So the front foyer fit out, the cafeteria, the play area, a lot of the internal works. Each of them in itself is a job. It has its own resources. It needs to be measured. You want to track those operations. But if you were lucky enough to win multiple of those tenders, you sort of want an area where you can pull back and put all of those jobs in one place so that you can really oversee the total of that project. And there are milestones involved in that. Once 50% of each of those areas is complete, you may need to go back out for your contract progress payment tendering to the government to make sure you're paid for where you're up to. And that can really happen at this higher level for projects, which is very exciting. So right now, the two primary use cases is the creation of workflows for internal management and also an area in which you can attach multiple jobs or leads. You can put leads into projects. If you've got a group of leads for a tendering that you've got and you want to track them in one place rather than have to filter through all your leads, come in and say, yep, let's just see where we're up to very quickly in an area for all those leads and where the tendering process is up to. So a lot of use cases. I don't need to go too heavily into the creation here, as it's very similar in concept to what you've done previously. You can name the project. We have types built into the software again, so you can build your project types if you want to be able to break them down. And then you can utilize your workflows to then make and create some overtures for the actual project itself. Now, it's important to note that for a lot of people, projects tend to be, I guess, a little bit more dynamic than maybe leads and jobs. Leads and jobs tend to be quite static in what you deal with. So you'll have like a constant level of things that are done over and over again, which is where the software really benefits you. That automation, build it once, use it 1,000 times, improve from there. With projects, what you might find is it becomes a little bit more, that's what I'm looking for, a little bit more flexible. So it's more around being able to create these on the fly. So some people will create some standardized project workflows in here for some internal tasks, and it's exactly the same process as creating a new job or lead workflow. You have statuses to control where you're up to, and so the software has automation to give you a high level as to where you're up to in the project. You can create those steps, add operations and tasks. So I won't cover that today because it's all been covered previously in our workflow management webinars. If you haven't seen those, make sure you do jump on the YouTube and check those out. But it's the same process. What I tend to find, though, is a lot of people build a very simple workflow, maybe 3 statuses, with just a handful of very simple operations like start of project, end of project, and in progress. And then they allow the projects to be very flexible. And as you've come to learn from Jobman, it's a very flexible system. So you can come into any lead or job or project and just add tasks and operations on the fly. So that this allows you for a very customizable area to use the project management and just add those tasks in just for that project. And then next time you start a new project, you can use a totally different approach and different ideas. However, as always, if you do have a fairly standardized project template, there's things you do over and over, especially when managing large commercial fit outs or jobs, then it would be worth building a workflow in here. So this is really exciting. It's a good just last layer for the software. Now, it is worth noting that this is an area of the software being new to the Jobman software family that will, in fact, probably over time develop even further. I can foresee a lot of use cases here as people start to use projects and come back and filter some information back to us and say, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could do this, or if we could report on this? So absolutely, to keep your eyes definitely locked on the software new releases. I imagine over time that this area will grow to be a very large part of the software, even though it's not our primary designation. You know, we're really here as a job management platform. That's where you get the most benefit from a day-to-day basis from an ERP. It's your reporting, it's your accountability, it's your transparency, all those things the software brings. I think there's still room there for that last high layer. And for some companies, you know, that's what they're looking for in a software platform. They're looking for a bit of project management. They want the ability to have these tasks, push them out to agenda screens, have those filter out to the team automatically, really get that flow and management in one place, while still benefiting from things like the emails, forms, job alerts, all that sort of behavior. So really exciting area, really good. And make sure you get a bit of use out of it for your company. I think you'll get a lot of fun. What I really wanted to focus on today, though, are reports and forms, because they're two really big areas of the platform, and probably especially reporting, the primary designation reason why most people pick up an ERP. In the background of everyone's mind, when they look for a system, they're looking to improve processes, which in turn, allows for improvement, which in turn provides more profitability. That's the foundation. If you summed up Jobman into one line, that's what it's for. And in order to do that, we need to be able to report on what's happening in the software so that we can use that data to improve. So right now, there are, at the time of this webinar, there are 8 main report types. And it's important to note that these are just report types. So this is a hierarchy. This is an area with which we can put customized filterables into the software, which means within each of these areas, you can create a virtual plethora of custom reports. Right now, there's 8. There could be more to come in the future. As I said, as the software expands and people have more needs and use cases for the software, we're always getting great ideas around where we can add on to our reporting. But these archetypes really cover the biggest areas of the platform use. They are broken down into effort. So effort is the ability to look at operations, estimated versus actual. So one of the primary reasons people look at a job management platform, I want to know that if I estimated that this operation, say assembly for manufacturing, is going to be 2 hours for this job, did it take 2 hours to complete? When all the time was added up by the staff on those tasks, was it 2 hours? Was it more? Was it less? I need those numbers. That's for your effort reporting. Now, effort reporting is a little bit different to the rest of the reporting in that it does require a date range in order to filter the report to bring up the numbers to begin with. It will start with the smallest filter, which I think is a week, and then you expand it. Everything else can look at all data, like all history data in your software, but being how many, you can imagine how many millions of efforts and tasks and operations and staff logins you may have over a period of time, and that will increase the longer you use the software. It is one of the few areas of the reporting where we need to give it a breakdown to begin with so that it can start giving you some numbers. Invoice reporting obviously is a big one for a lot of clients. They need to be able to break down where progress payments are up to, where we're up to in the stage life cycle, how many invoices we've got out there potentially outstanding. Obviously, it's an accounting platform's primary designation to handle invoice specific reporting. So really being able to break it down even further, that's where you are receiving and taking your payments and reporting to the ATO. But it's very useful to have this sort of reporting in ERP so that you can sort of manage and look across your bills and invoices across your suppliers and contacts and where those are up to based on status. Job reporting is the generalized reporting for job information. So this is like work in progress reports, areas in which you can sort of see overall statuses. How many jobs do we have in status X during this period that we can be looking to close out? So if your critical date for your operation or your business is dispatch or install, you'll probably want to build a custom work in progress filter for your jobs to allow it to then quickly run that report each week and say, okay, how many jobs do we have going out this week? I mean, that's the ultimate. More jobs we have going out that are complete and heading towards that area, that's when we get paid. So very important. But there are a lot of use cases for the job work in progress reports. Job cost is probably the biggest report in the software, and it's the one we'll focus on today. It's the primary point to the software, which is that ability to break down all your jobs at the end. And that's what most people are looking for, that a simplified system such as Excel spreadsheets and that really just can't provide for your business in any level of detail. It's very hard. I mean, you can do it, but it's often I hear nightmare stories where a staff member at the end of every project or job may spend upward of 3 days then filtering through all the information, gathering everything from accounting platforms and trying to find operation times and pulling out timesheets and then looking for materials. It's just an absolute waste of somebody's time, although that data is extremely important. So having that in one area in a software platform that is trapping all that data makes perfect sense. And the job cost report is really one of the big ones for the software. So you can gather that information quickly. And the best part about it is the information is live. So you don't have to wait necessarily to the end of a job to start pulling these numbers. Every time an operation has even 1 second of time applied to it, anytime a purchase order is made, anytime you go out and source your materials from your inventory, for example, these numbers are updating. So you even partway through jobs, you can get a really good understanding of where your cost analysis is. Lead reporting is very similar in concept to job reporting. It's designed around reporting around those marketables. How many leads are we winning? How many are we losing? What are the estimated values of those leads coming out over this period? How's the sales team performing, etc.? How many leads do we have in the follow-up status? You know what I mean? That's a big one for a lot of companies. Is you might get a lot of lead generation through. You might pump out a lot of quotes, but if there's not a huge follow-up process and that isn't being staffed and looked after, you might have hundreds of thousands of dollars of business just sitting there that has not yet been picked up. And it's one of the fastest and most efficient ways to get a return on investment on any system, is if you can fix your front end, everything tends to flow backwards in the process from there. So lead reporting, again, is around that side. We do have payroll reporting. Again, this is designed more specifically for the accounting integrations. So the ability to look at the operations through the week for all your staff, tie that into an area where we can handle things like award times, overtime, see how many hours they've worked, normal hours versus extra hours, and then run a report on that. There are a handful of clients in the world, though, that don't necessarily utilize the accounting platforms we integrate with. So this is a great way of using the software as like a double checking point. Rather than relying on cheat sheets, you can still use the software to its fullest, have people on their agenda screens and their kiosk and office user management roles, logging their time versus operations, so that we can pull a payroll report at the end of the week and see what everybody's been doing, filter that information down, and then use that potentially to plug directly into another accounting platform, even if you don't integrate naturally. But if you do utilize our integration with Xero, MyOb, or QuickBooks, it's important to note this information is feeding into your software all the time. So there's a limited use case for you need to actually check the report, although it might be worth running once a week just to make sure that nobody's accidentally forgot to log in. So you can modify their timesheets quickly before actually handling the pay. Now, the last two reports might look very similar in example, but they are quite different in use case. So purchasing reports and stock reports have two slight varied differences in their essentially their use for your company. Purchasing reports are designed to give you filtered information around things you've bought. So, for example, if you're sitting down with a supplier and you wanted to renegotiate your pricing for the year, one of the things you're going to want to know, of course, is how much have I bought from you? And as a generalized number, of course, you can look at your total invoices or purchase order spent for the year via the invoice report, and that will give you a total sum. But a lot of companies want to take it one level further and really dive in and say, how many of these type items did we buy, or this specific item did we buy with your company? Because look, we think we can negotiate a better price on this. We're happy to take a rise in these other areas, but we buy, a couple of $100,000 just of your hinges, for example. We don't want a price rise on that. And you can provide the data in the meeting, and rep can't really argue with it. It's all there for you. So really powerful report. Also very useful for a lot of companies to be able to break down their actual purchasing patterns, see who they're spending their money with on a month-to-month basis, where those projects are falling in and those jobs are reliant on which suppliers to buy the most of their stock. So very useful report. Similarly, the stock report then is about inventory. So it's the other side of that management process. You purchase order through Jobman. We've got your catalog handled via your materials and services. So all of that can be purchase ordered out of our system. It's a running live system. It's up to date. Part of that, of course, is we want the ability for our clients, we have the ability for our clients to be able to then manage their inventory in a very smart sense. So having inventory items in Jobman linked to your catalog means that when you create jobs and you go to source materials, Jobman can naturally go looking for your inventory first and improve the efficiency flow of ensuring that you're not overbuying, or if you have that stuff available, it's being used first. So mitigating wastage, which is a big return. Part of that, of course, is everybody sort of wants to know how much you're sitting on at any given point. So the stock reporting is excellent for that. It really allows you to break that information down quickly. And again, it's live. Now, the beautiful part about our process is when you do a purchase order process with Jobman and you receive those goods in, one of the things we do is we put those items automatically in inventory for you. So that will, of course, increase the amount of stock. Once that job has been manufactured and the items are out of your warehouse or your factory, the last part to that process is, of course, the pick list. And the reason why that's so important is because pick listing the materials then reduces those quantities down linked to those jobs. So it removes them from your inventory, which then further updates your stock reporting, which means for most companies, this is the first time they will ever have an actual accurate reading of what is available right now. And the reason why that's so important, other than from just forecasting and understanding data metrics for a business, one of the biggest reasons that's so advantageous is because if anything ever happens, if you ever have to make an insurance claim, heaven forbid, but if it did ever happen, you would now have the tool at your disposal to actually give a company, an insurable company, the exact material value sitting on your floor. And that's inclusive of everything. It's not just your inventory. It's all the jobs that are not yet gone out the door. You know what I mean? Technically, those materials are still in your warehouse. They haven't left. So they are under your duration of care and form a part of your stock reporting. So really, really, really powerful, very useful report. And again, live information. Jobman is all about live information. When we build reports, we don't go looking for things. These data metrics and these numbers are constantly being built in your system as things are happening live, which means you have the ability to constantly come in and refresh where you need to refresh these reports, and you're getting the latest numbers all the time, which is fantastic. So how do we use the reports? Well, you have a base report area, which is those areas we just talked about, job cost, etc. And each of those will bring you into a screen like this. And the first filter will be the last filtered information you've brought in. So if you've filtered this report before, it'll ask if you want to restore those defaults, and you can simply hit yes, and it will basically just update. So for example, if you're running a payroll report and your custom filter that you have sitting on this is week to week, if I run this report next week and I hit, yep, use those filters, it will refresh the information for that week, not give you the last week. If you want to go back and look at a previous week, not a problem, we can do them. So it's broken into two primary areas. One is the data summation from the information that's come through, and you can see how quick that was. That only took a couple of seconds, literally, for the report to build and pull through and start tracking all this information and bring it into the software. So really good. And I've done a life cycle report and a job cost report on a demo site we have, which has, 10 years of data in it. And it literally took a few moments to put together about $140 million worth of information. So that's the first thing to know about Jobman reporting. It's live, it's fast, and it's very easy to filter and bring through. So the main designation you will see on any of these reports is a summary up the top based on the filters you've chosen. So in this instance, I've got a pretty open filter because it's a demo site. We've been working on it together. We've only added a few jobs and work orders and some information. And for the job cost report, primarily, we're looking at two main areas, and that is estimated versus actual. That's ultimately what everyone's looking for. I want to know that if I quoted on this job, and I have an estimated amount of labor and materials when we actually did the job and started buying things, what is the net impact then on my profit and loss in those areas? And I want you, Jobman, to break it down for me even further into those categories of area. So we have labor, materials, services, and appliance and sundries to come. The framework's built there. They're ready to go. We're just working on those at the moment as a future release, which will be very exciting. But the main one, obviously, for most people is labor and materials. That's the breakdown of the majority of manufacturing. So this information pulls that together really quickly for you. So at a summary glance, you can tell almost immediately what those numbers are. That's the high level. The second level is you can see that we break down in the job costs reporting the work orders. So one of the great benefits of the software is when you're managing jobs and you want to break them into smaller jobs, you can, of course, break those work orders down. And as I've shown previously, you can pull the materials, services, and labor out of that item area and push it into a work order, and that becomes its own independent reportable field. And all of that you can see here. So as you're coming on the top layer of this filtration of reporting, I'll just expand out this report a little bit for you so you can see what's going on. All of these numbers will track independently. So that's the first thing to note is even though you've wrapped these up into a primary or parent job, you can still see each of those breakdowns individually. The second layer is then using the filters to really hone in on the information you want to see. And the filters in Jobman reporting are very, very intuitive to use. They're very easy. For example, if I just want to look at one particular job straight off the bat, we've got a management meeting, we're about to walk in, just show me a job, I can whack in the job number. We also have this excellent little functionality here called hide work orders. So for a lot of companies, they want to report individually on the work order, see where material or labor times have gone over for each of those independent jobs within the jobs. However, you might just want a summary wrap up and just say, hey, for the total job that was, apartment building 1, I know we had 10 work orders in it for each of the individual apartments, but just actually give me the total numbers on that apartment block. I can hide the work orders. It will wrap that information in one and just give me that line of data together, which is very useful. So you get the best of both worlds. You can then, of course, start reporting on statuses. Just show me the job costing for all the jobs right now that are the installation status, basically the final leg or dispatch, depending on your type of manufacturing, final leg of our process. Show me all of the jobs that are currently in installation in any of these filterable dates. So I can see everything that's been installed last year. Give me the numbers on those, or last month, last quarter. You see, they're very intuitive, very easy to use. I can even take it further and I can break down. I just want to see the job cost or the estimated versus actual on the particular filter for one particular operation in my system, maybe assembly, so I can see what the cost of the labor expense is in all my jobs. Are they manufacturing productively? If this is an area we need to improve. And you can choose a couple of operational filters around that. Do I want to see all the jobs that have started assembly during this period of this month? Show me all of the jobs that have been kicked off this month and show me the cost relative on those, or those that have been completed, or those that are due to be complete. You can see there's so much filterable information here. It's fantastic. I can even go further and break it down into job types, particular contact types. Just show me the work that I've done in stone for builders. And you can keep going and going and going. The layers here are incredibly powerful. We trap all this data. And this is why we like to, this is why I'm doing this as the last part of the webinar series, because all those things you've built previously now will start to make sense, not just from their management, using job types and lead types to really manage your workflows, but now you can see the extra layer of benefit the system is we can go one step further. You know what I mean? In an accounting software, it tends to be broken into two contact types. There are only customers and suppliers. So the best they can report on for you is, how much business have we done? What is the profit and loss on business of all our clients and how much have we spent? Fundamentally, that's it. That's as far as they can go. Jobman is designed to take it to that next level. Break down all my customers. Now show me all my work and profit and loss based on building work. Show me my commercial work. Show me my private work. Show me my account work. You know what I mean? Break those types down and really give me the power to drill in so that at the end of the year, when we have that meeting, it's not just, hey, did we make money? It's, where did we lose money? Where can we improve? What areas of our business are driving the most profitability? And the number of Jobman clients that have been with us for a few years and have seen the benefit of just being able to drill down that report on so many layers of their business. Think about it from a marketing point of view. You might be spending upward of $20,000 to $100,000 a year on marketing for your business, depending on the size of your business. Where you spend that money is so incredibly important to the overall health and profitability of your business. So being able to break it down and say, hey, we're spending $5,500 a year on this magazine advertising, and looking through here, I can see that we've picked up no work from it. Or we've picked up, $10,000 worth of work. Well, that's a rubbish investment. But this masterclass group we attend has actually connected to a couple of $100,000 worth of business for us. And that's brought in a particular type of work, which is private work, which tends to be high end and have a higher level of profitability. Whilst more custom, it does tend to offer better rates than doing account work or builder work. So maybe we should put more money into getting into more networking events for our business. Little things like that can have such just a monster impact on your business, and having a platform which can report on that for you obviously is very important. You can tell I get a bit excited around reporting. This is such a great area of the software. And the last part, of course, is if you've built some custom job detail types for some important filterable information in your platform. I've got a couple of examples here, thinking about joinery as an example, where, I have a particular production drafter or installation team or installer I like to use on certain jobs. So being able to filter down my job cost based on just that team, that person, or that thing. Architect would be a common one. You might have a particular architect that works across several jobs with you and you deal with different firms, all that sort of stuff. So that can be reported down, and then you can even come into and break it down to the absolute last layer, which is just show me all the work that has been completed and installed in the last month by this team of the type residential for kitchens. Or just show me all the fencing work we've done for commercial companies in the last quarter that are on account, that use this architect and drafting team to promote, or this have been recommended to it by this company just for our chain link fencing. You can see how far you can go with this. And the great thing is all of the information you've put in to your setup of the software is feeding all of this. So it's not just the automation and build, it's the feeding as well. So each of the reports have a large number of custom filters. It's important to note that all of this information, of course, is exportable to CSV. So some companies like to push this information out into CSV so reports can be collated. We also have a really nice print functionality built into the software. It's got a beautiful template behind it. I find a lot of people like to utilize this, not just because it is printable in base information, of course, and I can change the way in which it is viewed and seen. But I find a lot of people, being a digital platform, actually like to utilize this as then their numbers on the meeting screen. So you can come in, you can see it's got your logo, it's got some basic templating in there, but it's got really nice, clear information that can be presented on screen to discuss. So we don't even need to print everything out in the software. It can be pulled through. The last part, of course, is because we can filter all this information, you're going to have a number of reports that you're going to want to run constantly. And it depends on your management level area of the software. One thing that's worth mentioning at this point is that you can determine what reports your office users can see. So obviously, as administrators and owners of the software, business owners, you're going to want access to all the reporting. You want to create your own custom reportable filters and see everything. However, you might have a sales manager, and that sales manager, you don't want them looking at all the job reporting. They don't need to know about the stock reporting. You don't want them being able to run around with information like how many millions of dollars worth of materials you're sitting on. But they do need to be able to report for their team on how many leads are being won and lost and by whom. So you might turn off all in the staff, settings, staff, roles, permissions. You may go in there and for that particular staff type, sales manager, you might say, hey, they can see lead reporting, but they cannot see the rest of the reports. You can turn those on and off. So that's a really important note around this functionality. Whilst reporting is extremely important for a system like this, obviously, we need to give you the ability to turn these on and off. So, of course, the most important thing that people then want to do is be able to save these customizable reports. So once you've got your filters set up in a way that makes sense for this report, you can come in here and then save this as a custom report, give it a name, hit create, and then back on the main screen, every time you come into your reporting, you'll see the two tabs, which is the archetype reports and the custom reports, which means you can jump in and quickly filter and grab the reports you want each week. Or each month, or however often you run them. So all very easy to use, very intuitive. Now, the job cost report, the reason why I wanted to look at this one most specifically is because this has an extra layer of information atop of normal reporting. So normal reporting is layered, so you have the information in front of you. But with job cost reporting, quite often people want to drill that one step down. And most importantly, from a productivity point of view, this is where we want to start drilling into, okay, I can see that things have either gone wrong or things are profitable or things are less profitable than I expected. Now, Jobman, give me some reasons why. So the first layer of breakdown will actually take the job and it will rip apart all the operations. So not the tasks, but the operations, and drill them down so that now we don't just need to look, we're not just looking at the total cost estimate versus actual for this job. We can now break this down one step further and say, hey, one of the issues was here that we expected the install to take about 30 hours and maybe it took 50. So rather than just pull the information back at a higher level and be able to say, well, we lost money from the labor side, where did we lose that money? And we specifically lost it because the install took a lot longer than we expected. And you can drill into every job and every work order in this manner, which is fantastic. We then take it down another 2 layers as well. Rather than just look at materials as an expanse, we can also drill into them by category. So if we lost a heap of money on this job, or we didn't make as much profit as we expected, what was the reason? Oh, we can see the materials are red on the main report. Okay, so what about the materials actually caused the issue? And you can break this down one layer further and even break it down in the category. And we can say, well, the issue here was we've been all right because we've been able to use stock for most of these items. So we have a fairly good profit rate. However, when we're pulling apart when we're ordering the hinges out, the price of the hinges have gone up. And instead of making our usual 30%, we only made 24. Okay, that's something we need to keep in mind, and maybe we need to quickly change some of our job costing for our quoting going forward to make sure we don't lose out on that rate. So that's awesome. And same thing with services. I don't think I've actually put any services in my job, so I'm unable to see the report at the moment, but the same thing would happen here because services are purchase orderable. So if you have services built into your software for project managing electrical work, delivery, all that sort of stuff, and that's things you purchase order out, contract, install, all that sort of behavior, we can then break it down and say, hey, when we sent out the quote or the original tender for this job, the contract installer came back and said it was going to be $2,000. When we received the bill, it was $2,500. Okay, that's a problem. We need to look at that. What happened? Was it just the job took longer and they had to bill us for some more hours? Are we not allowing enough in our quote? Do we need to put a higher percentage on that service to make sure that we covered and buffered for these jobs? All this key information for your business to give you that return on investment in the software. It doesn't just stop there. No, we're all pumped. We have taken it one step further again, and that is in the job cost report. If I want to actually break down one step even further, I can then track and see efforts linked to these jobs. So by clicking on any of the time for the actuals in this area, say, for example, site install, if I had time measured against this, I'll do it. Won't pull up any data, but just so you can see what it does, it's going to immediately create a filtered effort report just for this job, just for this operation in the date period that is standard for the area, and it would have a list of the staff timesheet entries for that job. So not only can we look at, we lost money on the labor. Okay, where did we lose the money on labor? Okay, it was in the install, not picking on install teams in any way, shape, or form. It's just an example. Okay, so the install took longer than expected, and that's biting into our bottom dollar. Where was the problem? Hey, I can see there that one out of the 4 installs seemed to chew up a lot more time on this job than the others. Okay, that's no problems. I'll make a note of that. If you look through 10 or 12 jobs and you start seeing a repeated pattern, therein now lies the advantage of the system for you to be able to go, okay, the issue is not that we're quoting enough, because the majority of our team are handling their operations in the expected times. It's that we have a staff member or staff persons that perhaps need some training or some improvement of productivity. We need to have a chat to them and offer them some ability to help them step up to the rest of the team. Now, obviously, in a lot of cases, that may be the apprentice. So it's a number you don't worry about. You look at it, it's good that you can report on it. It's great that you can break it down, but you can see the staff name and go, that's fine. That's the apprentice, not a problem. They're still learning. Hey, they're actually not doing too bad. And I can see over the course of a few months of them working with us, I can see their productivity numbers increasing and improving. They're going to be a fantastic long-term staff member. So it's not just about the negatives. Productivity reporting in Jobman and job cost reporting and all these reports are also designed to highlight the wins. Where are things getting better? Where are improvements being made? Even just using the software. A client said to me recently that just having this platform in their business, and they're a very large client and commercial manufacturing business, has seen a 50% productivity gain to their business just by having workflow management, being able to report on areas, being able to then tackle staff training, improvements, improve areas where numbers are falling behind. 50%. Imagine what that would do to your business. No word of a lie. Just take a moment and think about what that is from a cost analysis point of view compared to the cost of this software. That could be hundreds of thousands of dollars back in your pocket. No word of a lie. And that's the true impact of the final of this software. And that's why I wanted to dive in this a little bit heavy. And I do apologize that I got a bit excited in there, but I really wanted to show you the ultimate goal here. We've been through the software setup together. We've come through, you've built your workflows, you've got your catalog, you're doing your purchase ordering, you're creating your quoting, you're following through your job management. Now we want to get to that final part, the team's measuring on the agenda screens, you're getting your operational times, your purchase ordering. What is the benefit of all that time and money? Truthfully, money is, time is money that you've spent implementing this software in your business. This is it. And it will return itself to you in 10, 20, 30, 40 fold over the years you use it. And obviously the best part about a reporting system is the longer you use it and the more you use it, the more data you get, the more improvement you can make, more money in your back pocket. So very exciting. Obviously, with the other reports as well, they all have similar filtration systems. You can see the custom tab here. So as you save those custom reports, this is where they'll appear. So they're easy to access and get to from the reports area. If you have office user management staff that do not need to access this area at all, you can turn it off for them. They won't even know the reports exist. The beauty is, though, you can print them, you can push them to CSV, you can digitally pop them out and put them in. So if you do want to build a custom report that you want someone to have access to but not see the rest of your reporting, you can build that report, save it, pop it in the job files, and when you have that Monday management meeting, they can still see the information live, all digitally, all ready, all presented beautifully, ready to go. Fantastic. We've got enough time. We're going to dive in now very quickly to my favorite new part of the software platform, which is Forms. So Forms came out in the last couple of weeks. Very exciting, a lot of use cases. A lot of companies utilize job alerts heavily in our system. They're a fantastic functionality, but there are some areas where Forms just need to go to that next level. And you just need a little bit more information. So the most common use case for Forms in a platform like ours is HR management, so things like site and HR, workplace safety agreements, all that sort of behavior. Utilizing installer or dispatch checklists. You want a digital area where the kiosk team can go in on that job and say, hey, we've completed the site install. Awesome. As part of our process, we want you to do two things. We want you to fill out this form and we want you to take a heap of pictures. And that can be done via their kiosk. So they're out on site, filling out some checklists, answering some questions, taking a heap of photos, hitting save, bang. That's now in your system forever, ready to go, accessed information. You can come back at any point. Now, the use case for forms are virtually unlimited. They expand as far as your imagination can go. And we have companies that certainly will use this extensively throughout their process. So forms basically are split into two sides, and they're nice and easy to create. So again, this is not anything to worry about. The first part is the template. Now, we've put in a form template in for all our clients already. So you've got a really nice structured template ready to go in the background. So they look nice and they print out. If this is one of those areas where if you do have someone in your company that is quite good at HTML, or you wish to reach out to a third-party liquid developer, of which we've got some we can recommend now to clients. This is a big development this week that I wanted to mention to everyone. If you are looking for some template help, we do have a really excellent company we can direct you to who have very experienced programmers on staff who can certainly help you with that process at a cost, of course, but it's one of those things, you're investing in your future. So absolutely fantastic. So templates for now, don't worry too much. We've got one built into the system, but if you do want to make some really fantastic templates, you certainly can. And then the actual ease of putting these together is very fast. We've done a lot of the hard work for you. So if we just call this a site install form, this could be a dispatch form, anything along those lines. You have an area where you can bring in introduction to the form. The idea about this is supposed to be a quick heading. It's a quick area you can put information in so people know what they're filling out with this form. So this is the site install form. Please complete all questions and take 7 photos. So this will now be apparent on the form itself every time it's created inside the job. And then as always, you can use some of your templating information to really make this look professional, but also just give the staff a little bit more info when filling out this form. And you can use the automation system for things like job number, job description. That's a common area, like the project name that people are looking for. When there's pulls together, and it's as easy as that. We can put that information in there. This will now appear using those logic at the top of the form. The last 2 questions are quite important. One is this form relevant to every job? So there's some automation around forms that are absolutely phenomenal. And the best use case for forms in our software platform is that they will automatically create for every new job you make. You can go in and manually add them to a job, even if you haven't designated that type of form for that job. So that's fine. It's not a problem. But to save you time, we don't want you just to have to create the form. We want it to be present every time you create a new job. So you can then make specific forms for each of your job types. Another use of these job types. Absolutely awesome. So if you have a particular form that is just relevant to be filled out for commercial jobs, they might have different questions that need to be answered, or you have a dispatch form that is only relevant to your account clients. This is where you can choose them. And what will happen is every time you start a job and you use that job type, this form will automatically populate for you, which is fantastic. For this example, we're just going to select all because we want this form in every job. Every job has an installation for this particular business. So we want to make sure that it's relevant and it auto-populates. So it's ready to go every time. I don't have to think about it. Less clicks, less processes you have to worry about, the more the software can do for you. The last 2 questions, generally speaking, you will be ticking these on. So they are, can the form be viewed in kiosk and can it be completed in kiosk? Now, you might be asking why. Why would that be a necessary function in our software? And the reason is simple. There are some forms that you don't necessarily want the kiosk team to complete. A good example of that might be a work safety form. So it's a form that they need access to when they're on site, so you want them to be able to view it, but it's not something you want to be able to update and complete. You've set the form, it has the information, it's sitting there ready to go. You will only fill it out if a workplace incident happens. So you want the software to do its job and automatically place the form in every job, but not necessarily have the team update them or view them. So that's why these are here. So it does mean you can make some internal forms for the office management team, which will just come into jobs. You can either access and complete them, and you can choose whether or not the kiosk team can even see them, let alone complete them. So really good. And you can do it at this stage rather than try and mess around with universal configurations of roles. Like, it's way easier just to give you the permissions right here. Is this form relevant for your kiosk team? Yes. Do they need to see it? Yes. Do they need to update it? Yes. Or yes, no. all nice and easy. And that's it. Create the form. Now, what this will do is this will create a new form setup for you. And from here, it is so very easy to put together. This is one of my favorite parts of the software. It's basically two easy sides to forms. One is groups. If you've ever used Jotform, something like this, well, this will make a lot of sense to you, or Microsoft Forms. Thousands of programs out there, but this is really exciting. You have two parts, and one is the group, which is just like a heading. And inside that group, we'll put the questions. So a couple of tick boxes here again, required to be completed, can be repeated. Now, this is one of the few areas of the software and why I wanted to go into this. It's a little bit different. In other areas of the software, if you tick required to be completed, for example, job details, lead details, all that sort of behavior, you cannot save the area you're in until that has been completed. So it's a really good way of reminding people, hey, every time you add a lead, I need you to tell me the source. It's very important for our reporting. We need to know where these people are coming from. So you add the lead detail, it gets added to all your lead forms, and then, sorry, all your leads, and you go in and they cannot save that lead until they've filled out that box. Really good. Forms are a little bit different. You may need this to be completed, but it's not necessary that all the information is available at the time when they're completing the form. So by checking this box on, basically what it means is they can save the form without filling out these questions. However, the form will sit in a new special status called non-completed until it's been completed. So it still gives them that ability to come in live, and especially for like site install forms and that, they might start taking some photos, or incident report forms, or work safety forms, or whatever you've got working on with your forms, and you may want them to start them, but not necessarily have the status read as completed until this is done. And can be repeated, of course, just is an easy and fast way to include groups like photos or file upload, where we can say live on the form, we can quickly repeat that group without having to create it 10 or 20 times. That's nice and easy one there. Inside, of course, our groups, we have our questions. Now, question formatting for Jobman is very flexible. So you'll see that underneath the name of the question, you have a drop-down called question type. Question type is very, 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 very flexible. There's lots of different things you can do in here. And they've all been pre-built. So this is why the great thing about forms, you don't need to understand HTML. You don't need to put this together. This is just as easy as you actually literally dropping and dragging, putting a form together, essentially. So for example, if you want a checkbox and you want to say, is the installation complete? And it's nice and simple. It's just a checkbox. All I need them to do is come in when they read that form and tick it. Easy. You might then have a new question, which is, were there any issues in the install? And for this one, rather than a checkbox, excuse me, we're going to build a drop down. And the options are yes, no, not applicable. Boom. Now when they open that form, there'll be a checkbox at the top. Is the installation complete? Tick. And then there'll be a drop down. Were there any issues? They tick no and hit save. That's it. Form's over. Job done. We're happy. Ready to go. So there are a lot of different things you can put in there. Probably the most common one that people want to be able to utilize in forms is take some photos of the area. And you will notice there's two new beautiful options now. You would be, if you've built any item specs in our software, you'd be very comfortable with this type of building platform where you add questions and groups, almost identical, but there's just a couple of slight differences. The main one now is we have both an images and a file tab. It just allows for some better configuration as that now comes into your software. For example, we live scale your photos so that you can actually add a lot of photos, even high resolution photos, to your forms without them tapping out. When you go to create the PDFs, for example, all of that gets scaled as they come in. However, we have an ability to control the scaling such that we don't lose quality. So these are awesome. As you start dropping and dragging some photos, you're going to notice, or taking some photos, you're going to see the quality of these, and then the print to PDF is absolutely fantastic and foundational. So you'll get a lot of use out of these. These are very, very good. Now that form is created, every time I start a new job, or you can create a form, and obviously you could keep going. You can make these as complicated or as less complicated as you want. You can build as many as you want. We definitely recommend build a lot. They are such a fantastic functionality. But Now, every time you start a new job, in your resources tab, you'll notice there's a new area called forms. Now, had I created that form prior to creating this job, that form would be sitting here ready to go. In this particular instance, though, I can just manually add it in because it's been created post hoc. In comes my form. I have the job number, job details, some basic introduction information ready to go. Now, if you open this form or create this form from the Office User Management, this will create this form and it will automatically appear in the system ready to go to be filled out. However, if this is not one of those forms for you, so this is for the kiosk members to do for the install, you can see here it's not completed status. They can go into the job bar on their dashboard, search for the job, bring up the site install form, and then they are the ones that can come in here and complete this. And that's how easy it was. Like the coding for all this is done, so you don't need to worry about understanding how to build it all. It's all there. Come in here, upload photos. Off you go. Let's put in some heat damage there. Nice and easy. The photo tab, just so you know, is automatically considered repeatable because we know it's an area where you're going to want to utilize a lot. So we can come in here, just keep adding photos, not a problem. You can see that even though this is minimized in the scale when it's come in, the quality is still excellent, still very visual. And then now when I save these changes, or if this had been done at the kiosk, the same thing. It will now read completed. It's been updated. It has activity logging, so you know who's done it, when, and where, not a problem. You can come in, you can view this. And then, of course, the last part for a lot of companies is sometimes they want to then be able to email these reports, all these forms out to external sources to say, hey, yep, we did complete the work. However, there were a couple of issues. We're getting those fixed up now. Here's a copy of the report. We'll create a work order from the job alert that was made for the damage and get that ready to rock and roll. However, this information is now forever in your site. And at any point, you can go back to those jobs, see the forms, and ready to go. One last thing I'll mention about forms before we dive into some Q&A, and I thank you very much for sticking with me. This has been certainly a very exciting finale to our webinar series, is if you modify a form, so let's say you create a form and you decide after the first couple of uses that needs some updates or some change, continual level of improvement, changing your new form will not impact your historic forms. It simply means that the information is there, lodged and safe, and all your new jobs or job types of that particular area going forward will utilize that form with its updates. You can, however, come in, and if it's very important, like it's a job you're working on and there's a particular update in the law to site management or work safety, and you need to update that form, what you can do is you can go in here and I can create another copy of the form, which will use the most recent form, and then ask the team to just quickly fill that out because it's a live job and we need it just for this area to come through. And they will version history, so you can see who they completed at by when on that timestamp. So all nice and easy. Obviously, I could spend the next couple of hours chatting about forms. I think they're huge. I think there's a lot of use case for them. But hopefully that's given you a good introduction, and certainly have a play. It's one of those areas of the software where you can have a lot of fun. You can go in, you can make some really useful processes and forms for your business and really get the best out of it.